Hello, everyone. Hopefully, I hope more folks will join the call as we speak. But if not, I guess that's because of the low season. That's usually December. So hopefully, if you're watching the recording, please drop your questions into our Slack, and we'll try to discuss them after the call. So today we will be speaking about the sandbox for AI apps and agents. And please bear in mind that the call is being recorded. So if you'd like to say something, please consider twice whether we will need to cut it out of the video eventually.
No, actually, we're not cutting anything out. Just don't say it.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass to cut a video. Just don't say the thing.
Yeah. We've had a couple of those situations.
Is it published in Twitter or YouTube or?
Yeah, both actually, and LinkedIn as well. So it's our 14th call, and we've got plenty of those. So people are talking about their products for the majority of time. We've had several calls where I've specifically been been the speaker and been talking about AI news, and a couple different calls where people share their knowledge in some specific area. So mostly the community calls are dedicated for some specific AI product, and usually it's in the product building area. So we are an AI community for product teams, and we are focused on that specific topic. So it's less possible to see a product for copywriting, for example, or something like this. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
But yeah, just curious. I had never heard about this community call, but I heard about E2B this week. So I wanted to take the opportunity to, get some context on it. I'm not sure who here is actually going to be presenting, but thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, and if you'd like, please join the community AI product Hive. So we are conducting those community calls as the part of that community. So we are on Slack. We've got 550 people right now, I guess. Okay. And we are occasionally chatting about different AI stuff. So yeah, I hope you'll find it interesting as well. But yeah, this is our today's agenda. The short intro, the demo, and the discussion. So if you have any questions, please either save them for the discussion or ask them along the way. So we'll see how that goes. So meet Teresa. She's head of growth and community at E2B, the dev. She's mathematics graduate, and I've tried to pronounce that thesis topic a couple times before the call, and I'm still making it poorly. So H compactifications of topological spaces. Am I getting it correct?
Yeah. Awesome. That was perfect, man. That was good.
Thank you. And yeah, she taught abstract mathematics to high school students. So Teresa, one simple question before we jump into the main topic of today's call. How come that you've switched from math to E2B? So what was your journey in IT?
Okay, so maybe I will start with how E2B started, because it's quite new. It started with all the hype around AI agents in March, and there was actually the two founders, Tom and Vasek. They were coding together, experimenting, and they were trying something. I think initially they were also trying to build some platform for agents or framework for agents, like everyone started doing in March, April. And then there was, I call it the tweet. It was one tweet that Vasek made that I think started it all, because Greg Brockman from OpenAI reposted something that Vasek shared about what they are building. And then people started to jump on the Discord and ask about E2B. And actually it wasn't called even E2B at the time, but they came with that name. It means English to bits. And then they were looking for someone to join to also be on maybe more like the business side and write some articles, do some content for developers. So we got connected through some friend, and we went for coffee with Vašek in Prague, like for one coffee, and it was so interesting that I was like completely sold. I was working in corporate job, so I really like wanted to quit for some startup, for some technological firm. So when I saw like the guy's vision and what they are building, it was like completely, I had this like intuition that this is it, that they know what they are doing. And so I quit my job, and we went to San Francisco, where we are like talking to users for a month. And then also Kuba joined it as engineer. So now we are a team of 4. And we all like, of course, we pivoted a lot during the months, but we ended with these sandboxes. That is like the main product of E2B, like sandboxes for the like output of AI agents, because that's actually what was missing in the whole like workflow of developers doing agents. So that's like in summary the journey.
Oh, that's cool. So basically, like you've joined the company while like it was like only a startup, like on like a simple project that had no name at that moment, right? And like right now it's got like pretty big following from what I've seen on the internet. So yeah, that's
yeah, like it was already, I think it already was called E2B, not very sure. It was already, but yeah, I think we are still a startup, like we are still a small team. We are like close together discussing everything. So yeah, it still has like big startup vibe, like in that series Silicon Valley, if you've seen that.
yeah.
Sometimes funny.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, I'm giving the stage to you. And with that said, we'd like to check out the platform.
Yeah, so I will probably share my screen. Okay, where is it? Oh, sorry, I'm not sure. Not very used to Zoom, so maybe.
Yes, at the bottom there is a green button, share screen, so you should be able to see it.
Oh. I don't see it, so wait just a moment.
Guess it depends.
Here, okay, okay. Share screen. Okay. Oh, I have to pick from. Do you know how to share a whole screen?
You can, I think it'll say share
the first box usually.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try desktop, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be the one.
Oh, I have to allow Zoom to share. Okay. Oh, I think I have to quit and reopen Zoom to get these permissions, so I will try that. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
The interesting thing with Zoom in general is that it has like different UI on every platform. And for example, to blur my background, I need to start Zoom before the call. I need to switch the settings, and only after that, I can join the call, because otherwise, if I'll click the link and if I will join the call via the link, then I will have no way to blur the background. So yeah, that's strange.
Zoom is not consistent.
Okay, it looks like now I can share it.
Okay, now we're
awesome.
good.
Cool. Yeah. So maybe I will start with a short, like, can you see my screen? Yeah. So maybe I will shortly like describe what E2B does, because I realize everyone probably doesn't know completely. But in short, like we are saying we are a sandbox for AI agents and apps. And what it means practically is the process is you have some AI agent. It doesn't matter what LLM it runs on. It's completely like agnostic. Like we don't care about that. But let's say it's GPT because it's most popular, but we can work with anything. And you have this agent for like specific purpose, like let's say coding. and you tell this agent via, I don't know, some UI, or in this case, what I will show, it's terminal. You just tell it some prompt, and now via the LLM, the agent identifies, for example, some action, like that it needs to write some code, or it needs to list files, or whatever reason, whatever thing, and this action is then done in the sandbox. So that's the part where E2B sandbox is used. Like it's the agent like does the action in like remote cloud environment that is isolated. So for example, here I will show agent that clones my GitHub repository and works on that remotely, and then commit and push it back. So that's like the problem it to be solved, because we realized, or like developers of agent realized that as they are letting the LLMs like generate code, run untrusted code, access files, etc., it's very dangerous to do it locally, to let it, I don't know, access internet, access files, because you just don't know like what the output will be, how the LLM will behave. So that's basically why we need this cloud solution. Yeah, if you have any questions, or always interrupt me, and I will try to answer. Or
yeah, what this cookbook will do?
This one. Okay, so yeah. I will run it. So this has 3 parts. This is the main program. Then this is like assistants. Here we are using the new OpenAI Assistants API because it had nice documentation, and I'm like still beginner in coding, so that's what I used like for the agent to be built with. So here is like the agent's brain, let's say. And then here are defined some actions for the agent. So he like recognizes the actions, and these are the actions that are later run with the main program. So I will run this. Yeah. I hope it won't crash or something, but let's see. Okay, so this is just yeah, for GitHub. I made that agent to like use GitHub, so I have to give it my GitHub token. So now I did that, and it should be able to log in. Okay, yeah, and now I give it address of my repository, which is public. So I give it like link to some of my like repositories that I wanted to do some experiments on. So here I just paste it. Yeah, and what do you want the AI developer to do? So let's say maybe write something to README, something simple. Yeah, and then yeah, you see the assistant status, and if you see the sandbox action, it means that the assistant at that point like identified that it needs to use some of the actions that I written here. And the action is already what is like done in the cloud, in the sandbox. It's done remotely. So now the assistant recognized that it cloned the repo remotely to the sandbox, to the repository. Like this is the path in the sandbox that I specified also in the code before, that we wanted to always clone it there. Yeah.
It looks like it's in an error, right?
Oh, it looks like it didn't find action. I don't know why, but oh.
So that's
just trying to call a function that doesn't exist.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
That looks like a Python issue.
Yeah. So maybe I'll try once more.
Interesting. So the agent right now tries to execute the Python code, and the Python code will call the assistance API, correct? Or like I'm not getting it right?
Yeah, like I'm not sure if I understand the question, but yeah, it calls the API of OpenAI, because the concept of assistant here is like done by OpenAI. So yeah, it like recognizes the functions. Like if you know the concept of like chat completion that OpenAI had before the assistants. So basically they have this format of, they call it functions, but it's not usually like Python functions, but that's the format that the assistant recognizes. Yeah, so that's
Is
like
this like a
OpenAI
list?
thing.
Oh, sorry,
Uh-huh.
sorry.
No, go on.
It's just, guys, I'm not familiar with that, but it looks like a list of like actions that you can invoke through the assistant, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And then like, I guess the error that we saw is that there was a right to file that was defined, but maybe in the Python code, it's not in actions.py. And maybe that's okay.
Yeah, maybe that's possible, but it worked before this session, so try once more.
Yeah, I guess we
Because
already have a thing that we
it's
will need
always
to
like
cut off.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
It
still
helps
have like
actually,
one.
like when things don't work smoothly, because you learn like where some of the hurdles could be, you know, if anybody's going to use this. Another question I had is like, you wrote basically a prompt, right? You said write to a README file. And was there some like intelligence there that identified which function to use, or is it based on yeah, how did it know that it needed to use the write to file function?
I think it's what the LLM does in the process.
Right.
Like the LLM
Okay.
recognizes that it should use that. And I think that's why OpenAI also has this API where they have this like nice format, because they somehow, I think, like figure out that that's what the LLM recognize to call.
Awesome.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not completely sure, but yeah, I think that's how it works. Like that's what the LLMs, that's the part that LLM does, but once you decide what action to use, it's more, let's say, like deterministic than
yeah.
more like determined.
I
Yeah,
think it's
it's
pretty
like
much just like an agent, right? The agent is going and using the LLM to make a decision, and then comes back and says, okay, now you got to go call this function in order to write the file
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
The decision making is happening from the LLM, but it just didn't find the function.
Yeah, it's like reflecting and reflecting if it like succeeded, and it's able, yeah, to also reason about that. And now it looks like the exact same thing finished. So I will open that. Yeah, and it wrote something to read me. So yeah. Okay, so that's what the assistant did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It worked.
And before I also tried it also with code and let it like AI developer write like Fibonacci sequence printing and this stuff. So I experimented also with writing code, and it kind of worked. But yeah, basically, yes.
So what part of this was the sandbox? When you say that you're using the sandbox, I want to understand, you're running this on a cloud Ubuntu box. Is that right? Instead of running it on local?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Who pays for that cloud Ubuntu box? Is it me as somebody using ETB? Is it ETB themselves, or?
Like for now, we are paying for that because we offer, like if you sign up at e2b.dev, you just sign up and get E2B key, a big key for free. So basically we are covering the costs. But yeah, we are also having like bigger users for which we do like more support. Like for example, Multion, if you heard about that, or Super Agent, they are like agent builders that have more like bigger product and need more support. So they are like paying us for support or something like that. But for like individual users, we have this like free tier that is, I think, limited by something. But yeah, we have free tier where we are covering the cost.
Yeah, I just asked because I was you know, trying to connect like what was presented on the website with my understanding of what this product could be, you know, and I assumed it was like a, you know, maybe like something like a Docker build or like something that's deployed to the cloud, but I couldn't find any details about the cloud itself, right? So yeah, that's why I'm starting to ask questions.
Yeah, so it's like the cloud is like firecrackers technology. So it's like we like put the output in like VMs, but I don't understand firecrackers on that deep level, so I probably won't be able to tell that much about that. But I can like ask my team to provide some info that I can share after the call. But it's, I think, firecrackers. Yeah.
What else can be done? So we've seen that the code assistance works fine right now. Is there anything that we can check out right now, or
Yeah, like we have on docs, like we have other examples, and here, as you can see, so here I started the sandbox in the code, and we are choosing the sandbox, and it's a default sandbox, which is just called sandbox, and that's like the basic one that has some like default libraries, etc. But then we have also custom sandboxes, and you can create your own sandbox. For example, we did this integration into LangChain where we using a data analysis sandbox, which is, or we call it, I think, code interpreter sandbox, but it's good for analyzing data because that sandbox has already, like it has a Docker file where it's predefined. It's some like libraries for visualization of data, some Python libraries. So it's like sandbox prepared more for that use case. And also now we have like a beta version of Cloud Browser Sandbox, and that's also one of the custom ones for browsing internet. So that's like you can have these like specifications of sandbox, or you can create your own custom sandbox that we have also in docs, like this tutorial that you like create your own Docker file, and there you specify like what packages you want to put in that sandbox, what do you want to put there. So it's the best for your use case. So that's maybe like one modification.
Interesting. And do you have any kind of maybe statistics or like information about how people are using your platform? So what they are trying to build, and I don't know, maybe some patterns. So for example, like 80% of our customers are building their own code assistants, and that's pretty much it. Like, do you have that kind of info?
Yeah, so I don't have like exact percentages right now, but yeah, we are analyzing that, and like majority is coding use case. Like majority of of users use it for coding, for data analysis. I've seen on our Discord actually there was one person who built some like Discord agent with E2B that is like doing something on Discord, like summarizing Discord or providing some like generating content. I'm not sure, but that was like interesting. But yeah, I feel like coding is the most popular, and also because code is like this tricky part that you need to really run in the cloud, because the code itself does something else that you cannot trust. So that's why it's good to like close it in the sandbox, because because it's like specific.
Interesting thing is that like several years ago, I've noticed this rise of basically cloud wrappers around Visual Studio Code. So the products like Gitpod and like similar ones. So they basically embedded Visual Studio Code into their cloud environment and enabled you to basically build up and deploy applications in the cloud and like without installing Visual Studio Code locally at all. So right now, this interesting trend about like the cloud hosting platforms for AI apps. So do you have any kind of competitors on the market right now, or that's like entirely new field?
I think there are maybe a few startups also building something similar, but I think I haven't heard about someone who is doing it also open source. But I don't have like complete knowledge, because we are always like building and not really like focusing on
Right.
competition. But I think like what is the alternative is that like many like agent developers, agent startups, they are trying to build like in-house solution and run it on like AWS or Google Cloud Platform, and they are trying to like basically build something similar in-house. So when we are talking to them, they're like, oh, we were trying to build this, but it's so annoying, and yeah, so I'm not really sure if there's like perfect competition that is doing the same. Maybe yes.
Yeah,
Maybe Model is doing something similar.
Yeah, I think I would. My mind is going towards similar products that maybe they're not direct competition, but as was just mentioned, products like VS Code in the cloud or even Replit. Is there any similarity between this product and those products, or what's the main difference?
I don't know what you mentioned is doing, or the Replit one, or can you maybe describe it more?
Yeah, so it's just basically you can write code and execute it in an environment inside of a cloud. You could do it for multiple projects, for entire repositories, for single scripts. You could do HTML, JavaScript, Python. It's kind of like have you heard of Google Colab? A similar concept where you just execute code within, you know, a specific environment. But remotely, right? It's not on your own system.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure, to be honest, what's the difference because we haven't heard that much from like users about trying also this, but I can ask my team if they can provide maybe some better answer. What's the like difference technically? Because I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. And then another question I had was within your own product, like forget about everybody else, right? Within the sandboxes, what are the differences between one sandbox and another? Like, how do they differ? What are the capabilities that you can put in one sandbox that you wouldn't want to put in another? How, like, why do you need so many sandboxes?
Yeah, so technically you just need one, and you can always use this like default sandbox that I used. But for example, with the data analysis sandbox, I can go to docs maybe and go to custom sandboxes. Yeah, like it had something pre-built like this code interpreter sandbox. As I said, it's good for like data analysis use cases, and it has this Python libraries. It has actually many libraries in there. I think there is also a complete list. So it's good because when you want to do like something like Autogen does, like Autogen did with that examples that it generated like stock charts or some charts. So that's probably good that you don't have to install the stuff, and you just run it in the sandbox. And also the benefit is that you don't have to install some dependencies and everything in your computer, but it's already like prepared there. So that's why it's like useful to have different ones, but also you are okay with the base one, and you can also install it like manually, like the packages. Yeah, so this is what is in the one custom sandbox, for example.
Okay, yeah. So in this case, like you could do something similar in a Docker container or in a Colab environment, have these dependencies and pass it on.
Exactly.
But potentially what E2B offers is doing this programmatically, right? I think that's probably the main thing that I see that I would benefit from, is being able to do this programmatically and with like a layer of abstraction that doesn't have me needing to configure it on Google Cloud or AWS Cloud, for example.
And what do you mean by programmatically?
With scripts like this, you know, with like the common, you know, well, there is a Docker file here. I just saw that. Sorry, I'm still grappling with like, what is this setup? How does it work? How does it differ from Docker, or how does it use Docker, for example? But yeah, it seems like you define the sandbox, you know, you can configure the sandbox to suit the needs of your agents. And when I say programmatically, I just mean like, yeah, you have the ability to invoke it with a script or configure it with a script.
Yeah. So I think you can actually do that like when creating the custom one, as you mentioned. It's basically the customization is basically in the Docker file. So when you are creating like custom sandbox, you are like creating Docker file where you can put like what you want the sandbox to have. Yeah. and then you build this. Yeah. So you use like this, and the sandbox is basically built, and you have CLI to do that. So yeah, and then it's like each sandbox you build this way, you give it unique name, and then like it can be used multiple times indeed. So it's like one sandbox type, or like one custom sandbox can have like different instances when like more people are running that, etc.
And then to Max's question earlier about how is this being used, what kind of sandboxes do you, custom sandboxes do you see are being used with E2B?
Yeah, so it's still like the coding purposes again. But yeah, we got some feedback for the cloud browsing use case, because, for example, like popular products are also doing that, like a lot of AI assistants, like for example, Multion, they are doing this cloud browsing. So for that, we also created one. But I don't see many like individuals doing that use case that much, because usually if we have the individual users, it's someone who tries to like optimize something with code. So it's still like the code is the most popular.
Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Alan, for the questions. Like you've covered a couple of those that I've had. So what's interesting? Yeah, getting back to that trend with those cloud development services. So from what I've noticed, usually they are relying on the on the marketplaces. So people are creating templates, they are sharing them with each other and so on. Do you have any plans to create some kind of like a marketplace for different templates that you can have in your platform, so that, for example, people would not only use the code interpreter, but some other stuff as well?
Yeah, like we haven't thought about exactly marketplace, but when we create like new pre-made custom sandbox, we put it just in our docs, and we encourage people to build their own. But people, we don't encourage them to like share among each other, because we haven't actually thought that it would be maybe popular, because everyone's use case is that specific that it's I don't know if it would work that way. Like but yeah, we were thinking about it, like putting maybe on some like GitHub repo, some like sandboxes that people created, something like that. I think it could be cool, because you just identify it yeah, with the template name. So that's how you like identify what sandbox are you using and then refer to it. So it's probably like shareable this way.
Yeah, so I think that might get pretty popular, because this is basically a flavor around, like in your case, for example, it's been a flavor around the assistance API. And like I can think of the sandbox as like more enhanced assistant API that can do more specific stuff, for example, and like I can tweak it with some code on top of that, and then share so that other people would fulfill their specific needs as well. So that like in my mind, the whole idea of making something working in the cloud is that it will be like you will unify like some approach, and then other people would be able to use your work. So this is kind of Replit templates, how they are working. And like on a lot of other platforms, this is the same approach. So people are sharing their work. And since you're open source as well, from what I remember, like that you might embrace that as well. And like for example, if I'd like to have some specific code interpreter for like specific task or specific project, and I'd like to tweak it with some additional code and share with my colleagues, for example, that might make this code assistant much more efficient, like in my opinion, at least. So yeah, that might be an interesting thing to go into. But yeah, I guess this is something like this is a ton of work, and obviously will require like a lot of efforts on your side, I guess. But
yeah, but you are completely right. Like that makes complete sense, and we are trying to more push also like community for like sharing their work, and also for doing more guides and more examples. So like I would say the main problem is is time at this moment. And also I started coding like recently, and this is actually my first maybe like bigger program that actually does something. So I am like still learning, and and it takes a lot of time, but yeah, that's like the direction we want to go, because I think like around open source the community is really like really crucial. Like people have like great ideas, also like your questions, it really like helps us go in the right direction. It's really like important. So yeah, we want to do, I wouldn't say like do something like OpenAI, because I'm not sure how like the assistants now are popular, or if it's been adopted, because I haven't noticed that many on Twitter, or like that many people working with assistants API, but maybe it's just my bubble. So not sure how like this went.
I think that's an interesting point, because I think one of my predictions is that like AI and assistants are going to be in the background a lot, for a lot of products. We get excited because we're developers, we're interested in, in the plumbing, but the assistants, I think businesses are going to be releasing and announcing and not telling you what they're using, right? So E2B Assistants API is behind the scenes. Maybe that's why, but it is super powerful. I mean, I think it powers GPTs, right? It's like the GPT release is basically just an interface for building assistants with the assistants API.
Yeah, but I felt like confused, like what is the target group actually for GPTs? Because I see that assistants, it's for developers to experiment and build maybe on top, but GPTs, it's like I've seen people like playing with that and sharing that a lot, but I'm not sure if it's like really has like the potential of being like real product or something. I'm not sure really like what was like their target for that.
I guess the only reason behind that was so that Sam Altman would be able to make that screenshot where he created a grok with the OpenAI UI and like poke it with like Elon Musk. So yeah, like actually, I think the implementation matters because, for example, grok, this is like really specific tool, and like I've got some kind of like more negative emotions towards that because of the way this whole thing communicates and the lack of transparency behind that. So, for example, one of the bigger things that Grok is marketed as, so like it has the direct access to tweets. And every time I'm asking someone who advertises Grok on Twitter, like how does it treat misinformation, for example, or like false information, or like bot accounts, etc., I don't get any answer. So basically, this language model might consume like a ton of misinformation and like give it back to certain people as the result of their interaction. And this is something that concerns me, for example, but still people find it really interesting and useful for some of the use cases, for example, summarizing different threads. And I guess, so like my point is that even if the model itself is unreliable and might give you false information and it speaks in like really certain way that a lot of people dislike, still it got its target audience. So as for the GPTs, I think since it's not tied to some specific products yet, it falls under the radar. But for example, once the Coca-Cola will create their own custom GPT and will embed it into their website as an assistant, for example, or some like bigger I don't know, like Walmart or Amazon would embed something like this into their UI. So some kind of assistant that will help you with the shopping, for example, or picking up a right product. that might work really well. So I guess that might be one of the use cases. So yeah, that's my take on this whole GPT thing, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with, I think, what Alan said, that it will be more like we want to know like what's the technology underlying of the product, like what they are actually using, that it's like also in the March, April, people were building like big projects like AutoGPT, but now it's more like focused on the actual products maybe, and we are just not very, like they are not advertising like what technology the underlying like agent runs on, but they are more trying to also build some UI and stuff like that. So yeah.
Maybe we are on the plateau right now, and in a year there will be some other mind-blowing trend with some of the products that will embrace those technologies by then, and would be able to provide some kind of mind-blowing services for us, and substitute all the software engineers in a day. Who knows?
Like I'm very curious, for example, how it will be with the open source models with like alternatives to GPTs now, because it's also my plan to start maybe using E2B with like some local LLMs and trying some alternatives, because yeah, that's also what I think people started to realize now, that there are also alternatives to GPT. So yeah, that's what's really interesting for me.
Yeah. By the way, getting back to the E2B topic. So from what I see on your screen right now, there is a line like from E2B import code interpreter. How many of those like kind of like embedded applications, I guess you've got already in your library? So you've got code interpreter already. What else do you have? Like, what can I use out of the box?
Like, yeah, we have only 2 custom sandboxes, I think, or like we have the default sandbox that I was like using in my program, and we have the code interpreter sandbox, which is for coding data analysis, and then we have like this beta version of the cloud browser sandbox, so I can send it later to the chat, but it's still only on GitHub. I think we don't have it in docs, so we have only these 3 now. Yeah, and not sure what people are building. We don't share it there yet, so we may start with that. But yeah, this is like the what is prepared.
Yeah, that and is this open source as well? So the code interpreter code is somewhere on the GitHub?
Yeah, it's on our GitHub. Like, yeah, this is the code interpreter. So yeah, they are open source. Like, we are not 100% open source because part of our infra it's still not, but we are planning to go fully open source in a few weeks, because I think it's on our roadmap. Yeah, so this is how the sandbox looks.
That's cool. So I guess that might be a cool option for your community, and this whole thing that I've been talking about, the like the marketplace. You can ask your community whether they'd like to add different sandboxes to your repo, and you'll see where you can get from there. So that
But
might
that's
be
a really good idea, because we already have like bounties for like integrations with E2B, because that's also really popular. But this is also a good idea. I think we should do that, because it's also much more like faster than like doing other projects, because you just create a Docker file basically. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, the only problem would be to maintain certain level of quality. Basically, if like a senior software engineer will add a sandbox to a repo, and like some junior, that might have a slight difference there. So that might be an issue, but I can think of any other like reasons not to do so. So yeah, probably even that might get you some attention if you I don't know, run some kind of competition, or like send some swag to your community members if they'll add different sandboxes to your repository. That might be beneficial for everyone. So yeah, That probably would be something cool.
And what would be your use case? Like, would it be also coding, or do you have anything like more alternative?
Yeah. So as for me, like I've been building a couple of AI apps in the past. So like what I think would be like, I have no idea whether it will suit your platform, for example, but I've seen a lot of people creating AI scrapping tools, and like I'd like to try out how it will work in the cloud. So at least one community member from our side, like in AI product Hive, I've seen him like he created like a scrapping tool, and he's got a competition there, but they are getting ready to release their software. And like I think this is like a really popular use case, and that would be something that I'd like to try out, for example. But yeah, that might be like somewhat tricky to implement, I think. So this is the one thing. And the second thing is that we've got our community email newsletters, and I'm interested in how I can use AI to make them even like more engaging, and add some add common trends into that email newsletter, like add some I don't know, like generate some ideas on how I can make it more engaging, and probably AI can help with that. And I can think of a lot of people who'd like to have the same thing for their community. And probably that might be something interesting to use a sandbox for as well. So for example, I can think of if I'll create some AI tool that can help you generate community email newsletter, and you've got your community in the Discord, that probably might be something interesting for you to try out as well. So that might be my second use case, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Like the web scraping one, I think that's really like good, maybe use case, that's good inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And for like the generating content, I'm not sure if it's like sandbox is needed for that, if it's like that use case, but yeah, and I already also seen a lot of tools doing something like that. So, but maybe not for newsletters actually. That's true.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that like I'm playing with that right now, and why I've mentioned sandbox is that like to be able to generate a proper like newsletter filled with information from the community, you need to pull the information from the community, and usually that's a pretty like sensitive thing, and I don't think a lot of people would like to share their community data with some third-party application that will simply generate an email. So they would probably, because you will need to connect your community to some third-party application via the API key and give the permission to some external application to read the messages, probably alter them or something like this. And this might be something that the majority of people who are running the communities would not like to do. So for me, for example, I would like to run this kind of tool on my own somewhere in the cloud. And in that case, I would be sure 100% that the information from my community, like private channels and this kind of stuff, it's not leaking and it's not stored somewhere externally on the internet. Because like if I would be a community member whose message ended up in some third-party software as a reference to create an email newsletter, I might be slightly disappointed, for example. So yeah, that's the reason why the sandbox approach might work better in this case. But yeah, honestly, I have no idea whether it would work or not.
But we will discuss that with him. That's nice to get inspiration.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Alan, do you have any other ideas?
Well, I just second, like retrieval and scraping was actually the first thing that I thought of as well. I'm trying to do it for my brother's business. Just get a landing page that has a lot of information about his industry, but also augment it with some chatbots. So basically, yeah, scraping, retrieval of information would be interesting to experiment with. But an idea about how to use sandboxes, I think is, still dependent on my understanding of what I can do with ETB and E2B and what it does offer. It seems like it offers a common interface, right? A common interface for operating against, like, for example, an LLM. So a potentially, good application of this is to be able to use that common interface to maybe like benchmark, certain tasks against a variety of LLMs through the common interface, right? You write one application and then you just sort of switch between, sandboxes, or switch between, I don't know, like invocations of the LLM to see, how it performs. And this could be interesting if you're trying to generate, like you said, an email, if you're trying to generate an image, just see what the different outputs are, and it might be facilitated by a tool like this. So that's one idea. Not sure if it's possible, but it seems like it.
Yeah, I'm not also sure if this exactly is possible, but yeah, it has the interface, and then you like basically control it with the SDK. So yeah, that's like easy to use. But yeah, I can get back also after the call, after we like debrief with team. I can also share some like their takes on that and whether these use cases in particular would be possible, because it's really like, I think, creative ideas.
As one of my friends said, who's a project manager, everything is possible until you have the budget. So I guess that's the case. Yeah. Okay, so we are on time. Thank you very much, Teresa, for this presentation. So we'll check. Yeah, we'll check E2B further after the call. I guess if you have anything to share, please drop that into our Slack. We would be glad to see that. Alan, thanks for all the questions and for joining the call.
Nice meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, so Matt, glad to see you. Yeah,
I will share probably a lot of content also later, because it was very inspiring chat. So thanks.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good rest of the day, rest of the evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Goodbye.